They had the voice, they had the look, they had the moment, and then nothing. Just silence, disappeared, gone from the charts, the red carpets, the headlines. You remember their names, don't you? Amarie, Cassie, Mia, Tweet, Blu Cantrell, Keri Hilson, Olivia. All women who came into the game with a bang, and then slowly faded into the background like they were never supposed to shine for too long. But what really happened? Because talent wasn't the problem. These women could sing. They had stage presence, fan bases, and undeniable hits. So why is it that so many promising R&B stars, especially female stars, seem to vanish after their first big moment? Why are their careers cut short, redirected, or completely erased while male artists can ride a single hit for years? Let's go back for a second. The early 2000s were a golden era for R&B. Glossy videos, slick production, iconic slow jams. Labels were signing beautiful young women left and right, marketing them as the next big thing. And for a moment, it looked like they were. They had hit singles, magazine covers, and collaborations with the biggest names in hip-hop. Take Amarie, for example. One thing was everywhere. That go-go beat, the fashion, the attitude. She was fresh, original, and ready to dominate. But after the initial hype, her label struggled to figure out how to market her. Was she a pop star? A street girl? Too edgy? Not edgy enough? And when her second album dropped, the support just wasn't there. Radio didn't push it. The label didn't promote it. And suddenly, Amarie was gone. Then there's Cassie. Me and You was a smash. The video was minimal, sexy, hypnotic. She had the Diddy co-sign, the beauty, the mystique. But after one album and some scattered singles, her music career quietly stalled. Why? Some say it's because she wasn't trained enough vocally. Others point to her relationship with Diddy. That once she became more of a girlfriend than an artist, the label saw her differently. Her career stopped evolving, and she was slowly reduced to just a beautiful face in the corner of someone else's empire. And what about Tweet? Her hit, Oops, Oh My, was sensual, bold, unforgettable. She was signed to Missy Elliott's label, had a style all her own, and for a while, it seemed like she was here to stay. But behind the scenes, label politics, distribution issues, and personal struggles kept her from staying in the spotlight. Her sophomore album was delayed, under-promoted, and eventually forgotten. These stories aren't just about poor marketing or bad timing. They're about an industry that doesn't know what to do with women who won't fit neatly into a box. If you're too sexy, you're not respected. If you're too wholesome, you're not marketable. If you're too outspoken, you're labeled difficult. And if you're Black, the leash is even shorter, because the truth is, the music industry, especially the R&B machine, has always had a dangerous obsession with the next big thing. And once you've had your moment, they're already looking for someone younger, flashier, and easier to control. These women weren't dropped because they lacked talent. They were dropped because they didn't play the game the way the system wanted. Mia is another case in point. She was everywhere in the late 90s and early 2000s. Case of the X. My Love is Like Whoa. Her features on songs with Pras, Jay-Z, and Pink. But just as quickly as she rose, she was phased out. Not because she stopped delivering, but because she didn't conform to the image her label was pushing. She's spoken out about being shelved, about having to go independent to have creative freedom. And guess what? She's still making music, still touring, still booked and busy. But you'd never know that from mainstream media, because once they decide you've had your turn, that's it. And we have to talk about Keri Hilson, a strong writer, a hitmaker, and for a brief time, a serious threat to the R&B throne. Her songs like Knock You Down and Pretty Girl Rock were huge, but then came the rumors. The alleged Beyoncé diss, the internet backlash, the industry silence, and just like that, she was gone. Was it really about a single line in a song? Or was that just an excuse to exile a woman who dared to challenge the queen? Let's be honest. The industry loves to push women up as long as they stay quiet, beautiful, and easy to control. But the moment they ask for more creative input, question label decisions, or, God forbid, outshine a male counterpart, the machine turns on them. There's a long list of R&B girls who had all the makings of superstardom and were quietly erased. Sometimes because they walked away, sometimes because they were forced out, and sometimes because they were sacrificed to make room for someone else the industry liked more. But if you ask the fans, these women never disappeared. We still stream their music, still talk about their style, still remember the chills we got hearing their voices for the first time. The industry may have moved on, but we didn't. A lot of people assume that when an artist disappears, it's because she wasn't working hard enough, that maybe she just didn't want it bad enough. But the truth? Most of these women were working harder than anyone else in the room, just to survive behind the scenes. What people don't see is the ugly part of the industry, the contracts that lock women in for years, controlling every move. The label execs who dangle promises in exchange for obedience. The pressure to sexualize your image, tone down your voice, and stay quiet when you're disrespected, all in the name of staying marketable. Some of these women weren't just artists, they were survivors. Surviving overbearing management, shady PR moves, sexual harassment, creative sabotage, and once they started asking for better treatment, they were labeled ungrateful, hard to work with, unfocused. Ask Olivia, the G-Unit singer, who gave 50 Cent his biggest melodic hook on Candy Shop. She was poised to be the first lady of a movement, and then completely erased. Her own album kept getting delayed. She's talked about being sidelined, ignored, used as decoration rather than being treated like a serious artist. Once the hype faded, the support vanished with it. Or Christina Millian, who was constantly reinvented by her label, but never allowed to take control of her own sound. She could sing, she could dance, she had the star power. But behind closed doors, she was being boxed into an image that didn't reflect who she was. And when she pushed back, her career stalled. This isn't a coincidence, it's a pattern. Because in the music industry, being a talented woman is only half the battle. The other half is learning how to play the game. And most of these women lost not because they weren't good enough, but because they refused to be pawns. And let's not ignore the elephant in the room, race and gender. The shelf life of a Black female artist is shorter, stricter, and more brutal. White pop stars get grace, room to evolve, time to fail, and come back stronger. But Black women? They get one shot, maybe two, and if they don't explode immediately, or if they do but become too much, the industry treats them like a phase. Think about it. How many male R&B artists can coast on one or two hits for decades, still doing shows, still being called legends? Meanwhile, women with voices that could shut down an arena get written off after album one. And when those women go independent, drop projects on their own, or build a loyal following outside of the mainstream, they're labeled as has-beens instead of being celebrated for surviving an industry that never really protected them. It's no wonder some of them step away. Some, like Jasmine Sullivan, took years off to protect their mental health, only to return stronger and more self-assured, on their terms. Others, like JoJo, had to fight legal battles just to regain the right to release music. Tinashe spent years escaping her label's pop R&B trap to finally create the music she wanted to make. So maybe the question isn't, why did these women disappear? Maybe the real question is, Why was the industry so quick to silence them? Because disappearing isn't always a choice. Sometimes it's a forced exit. Sometimes it's a punishment for speaking up. And sometimes it's the only way to survive with your soul intact. These women didn't fail. They were failed by a system that never saw them as full human beings, only as products. They didn't disappear. They were erased, rebranded, or ignored. And the fact that we still remember them, that we still stream them, search for them, root for them, that says everything. It means their impact never faded. It means the love was real, even if the machine didn't know how to handle it. It means that maybe, just maybe, they were too real for an industry built on illusion. So the next time someone says, "Whatever happened to her?" tell them she didn't disappear. She was silenced, but not forgotten. Let us know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comments, and stay tuned for more true celebrity stories.